Welcome to the Franchise Frontier, the podcast where we explore the evolving franchise landscape, dive into latest industry trends, and share actionable tools and tactics to help you build and grow your business.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Franchise Frontier podcast. Here we explore the world of business ownership, unlocking keys to success while uncovering common pitfalls to avoid. Today, we're excited to welcome Dwight Dunmire. Dwight is the owner of Stand Strong Fencing in Fort Myers. Excited to have Dwight on the show. Can't wait to dive into some insights. So let's get started. Dwight, tell us a little bit about your background, kind of who you are and kind of what you did maybe before owning Stand Strong Fencing.
So a few different things. So I actually own a couple other businesses, one being a development business, which we build custom homes and we do higher end remodels. One, we're doing a historical home right now, so we have that. And then previously between all of that, I used to operate 9 dealerships throughout the state of Florida, RV dealerships. So definitely a different approach. But yeah, I mean, that's my background. I'm ex-military veteran. So that's really kind of much about me.
Yeah. And so, obviously you, at some point, even when you started your other business, is there something that just kind of inspired you to become a business owner?
I've always, since when I was 21, I actually started my own business, building custom homes in Indiana. That's where I'm from. And things were rocking and rolling until 2008, and that hurt. So, decided, hey, I took a lot of risk. I was younger, had an opportunity to do a reset. So that's exactly, what I did. So, moved to Florida. I just had, my daughter at the time. So, we moved to Florida and her mom, of course. But, then got here and I was open-minded, right? I was like, I don't want the hassle of owning anything, and I'll work for someone. So I ended up working for the same company for 11 years, started as just a salesperson off of a Craigslist ad and ended up running, nine of their dealerships for many years. Um, so I knew that I still had it in me, right? I was afraid to take that jump again just because of how bad it hurt previously. I learned a lot of lessons. And again, I was young, so I was making all this money and I'm like, I'm gonna spend it. So, you definitely see things that you could have done differently. And, that's one of them. But as I was growing in that company, I was like, man, I got an itch to start doing it again. And I'm not gonna lie, as I was, getting promoted, I needed to find a way to offset my taxes. So I decided to, start a development business, and it actually started out just real estate stuff, where I would buy some real estate, rentals, or I'd help people buy real estate, and it just allowed me to be able to, again, reap the tax benefits from it, to lower my tax bracket. But then, I knew it. Running dealerships is a lot. And then, I traveled a lot, didn't see my family much, my current wife, and, there's 2 kids, and, it just being away from them all the time, it was crazy. So, it got to the point where I got burnt out and I was like, I need to do something more, do something else, I know I have it in me. So I got an opportunity, that when I parted ways, I was going to take like 6 months off and like, I'm just going to enjoy my life. But then 2 weeks go by and that's not happening. So it's just me. I love to work. I love to make a difference. And so, I really started diving in on my development business. And I did that and more real estate stuff, and got a business partner, and, we started doing things and just even in other states buying real estate. And then I finally, in 2024, I was like, there's more, right? I want to do something else, something, I'll call it passive income, right? Because when building a home, I mean, you're not going to see the end result and the money until sometimes a year and a half. So it was something more like that passive income, something that can generate more money, in a quicker time, monthly. So I started looking around and I actually came across a men's health clinic. And so I reached out and I was like, maybe this, and that actually got me with Sidekick, I think is their name, Sidekick. So got a broker, And he's like, "Oh, unfortunately, that's already taken that territory." And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "But let me send you some information and see. We'll try to see if there's something else that we have that we could help you with." I said, "Okay." So did it. Ran down through some of them, and he brought up Stand Strong. Um, and so one of the biggest things that when he was running through all of this stuff, because I'm not afraid to take a risk of because some of the companies were like brand new, but one of the things that really appealed to me is having the horsepower backing, right? Knowing all these other brands, kind of what the owner came from, so again, down in the trenches, knows and understands. Those are the type of people I wanted to surround myself with, because I knew if you could do that with a business and you have other ones, then, again, it's building a brand, building, a team. And so it was nice knowing it to be a part of that. Um, I do get asked quite often, like, "Hey, you already have a construction background. You already are a licensed general contractor. Like, why did you do it?" And I can tell you this, that we did close to $750,000 our first year in revenue, and mind you, we just opened the doors January 20th, so, and that was going through a couple salespeople, that was, learning the ropes, but I gotta tell you, we wouldn't even done close to that if it wasn't for the backing behind and that team and the setup, and, again, I'm a general contractor, and yet I still can sit here and tell you, like, there's a lot of things you can learn, especially in a home service business. And just to be able to have those resources, it's nice. And, again, let's see, not so much the computer systems, but again, there's already a system in place, and there's like a roadmap, instead of just trying to figure it all out on your own, which is nice. And again, a country boy, grew up in Indiana on farms, put in more fences than I can count, but selling fences is a completely different, side of the fence, pun intended. Uh, so yeah, that's been my journey with it, and that's how I came across to be a franchise owner of Stanstrom.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a lot of really good points in terms of the fact of being a general contractor, understanding it from the other side of the fence, right? And just kind of seeing it a certain way, and then now into a much quicker turnaround, kind of getting yourself dialed in. I was going to ask, being that you've been a part of starting a business before, when looking into a franchise, did you feel as if, hey, I've done a business before, and so now I'm thinking about the franchise because I'd like a kickstart. I'd like to have that backing. I'd like to have a little bit of those things that when I started my own business, I just did it all. I wore all the hats. I had to do it all by myself. And did that lead you a little bit to the franchise world?
Well, it did. So, the we used to say in my previous, employment that we weren't an RV dealer, we were a marketing company selling RVs. Everything's about branding, brand, 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 brand. And I could go anywhere, and if I would say the company name, everybody knew it. So one of the things that, and again, my other company is called Dunmire Development. So, if I was to go to Sarasota, Florida, if I was to go to Tampa, Florida, if I was to go to Colorado and say Dunmire Development, like, don't know who you are. But if you go anywhere, and again, as the brand grows and somebody says Stand Strong Fencing, oh, I've seen them. Um, it's even nice for me. So we're in. So as I told you, we actually own a couple other businesses. So another one is a milkshake factory that we're somewhat involved in. My business partner's son, he really owns it. We're just kind of helping him out. But I was driving up to Riverview for a grand opening, and there's a Stand Strong truck. And it's like, this is really cool. So, one of the things that leads to the whole branding thing is when people move, because people are moving all the time. Mind you, I'm in the real estate business as well, sell a lot of real estate. People are moving all over that with that brand. Somebody moves from Colorado and they move to Florida and they're like, man, we need a fencing company. And they go to Google and they see Stand Strong Fencing. Oh, wait a minute. Stand Strong Fencing did ours out in Colorado. Like, did a great job. That's who
Right.
I want to do business with. So again, that branding is what really made the difference for me, because I know how powerful it can be once it gets there. And then again, buying in early, getting in early, having the territories, because again, the ultimate goal for us is we always want to build our businesses up and then sell them. We'll do all the hard
Yep.
work, sell them. The next person that buys it will make money, but we're going to get a nice piece of that pie, for all the hard work that we did to build it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for you, when you talk about that first year, what do you think were some of your biggest surprises?
Everything. Everything. I will tell you this again, no dummy to construction. When we were at, I think it was Discovery Day, they said, "What is the number one fence that you think that you'll sell if you were to choose, to go with us?" And I said, "Bronze aluminum. It's everywhere down here, right? I live in an HOA, hate it. But HOA, all we can have is a 4 foot high bronze aluminum fence. That's it. Nothing else. You can't have a picket fence, can't have anything." So, that's what I went with. I couldn't be more wrong because not only that, they said, "Well, where do you think you'll sell the most of your fences at?" I was like, "Oh, Fort Myers for sure." Wrong again. They said, "Well, what do you think is going to be your lease place?" I said, "Lehigh Acres." Right? Lehigh Acres is just kind of, I call it an odd place, but again, great people out there. It's just the way that it's set up. It's set up like a Cape Coral, which is there's no real developments. It's like everybody's has their own house on the street, and it's all squares, and it's crazy. But our number one fence is a vinyl fence and chain link fence. They're pretty much neck and neck, and it's in Lehigh Acres where we do the most business. I'm like, this is crazy. Never would have thought it. Just off the top of my head, I was like, no, it won't ever happen. So again, big surprise, which, as soon as I started realizing that, I realized that there's a whole lot more that we need to figure out. It's a competitive market, home services, again, can be, but the struggle that we didn't have is everybody that we do get in front of absolutely loves the fact of our customer service and our follow-up. So that wasn't such a surprise. They were more surprised at how often we followed up, where a few of them have said, like, "We're going with you, right? We already signed with you. You don't need to keep saying like, 'Hey, how's the fence?' and everything else." And we're like, "Well, we want to make sure that if there's anything wrong, we want to fix it right away." Um, so again, that hasn't been a surprise, but more of a surprise for a customer to be able to realize that there are people out there, because I don't know where it's at anywhere else. It is tough to find good help and good companies to do business with. So that is not such a surprise. It is a surprise to see how many people shop, or I wouldn't even call it shop, but the amount of estimates that they get. So people down here will get 3, 5, 7 estimates from a fencing company. But I come from RV dealerships where a person would walk in the same day and buy a $150,000 RV without it done, not shop it with other, "Oh, I'm going to go to this dealer, that dealer." There you go, get financing and take it home the same day. But a $5,000 fence, buddy, you better set yourself apart. So it's wild to me. And the general manager of the company, he was my general manager for me at one of the RV dealerships. And it's him and I talk about it all the time. We're like, this is wild. I mean, we used to sell, $300,000 in revenue in one day, and 150,000 of that they took it that day. And I'm like, this is crazy. It's trying to sell a $5,000 fence or $7,000 fence. People are like, "Oh, you're too high," and we're like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we can get it for 4,800." I'm like, $200. What? But again, that's a big shock. It's like, I mean, I think our value and our what we do, and again, that's where we do win a lot of them. Um, but other surprises is just the suppliers. I would say that really getting to know the suppliers. I didn't think it would be as crazy, but you know, getting to know them, getting to know everything that we need with a chain link fence. I didn't realize we were going to have 40 line items for a chain link fence, but we do. Um, So again, understanding the material, understanding how to price it right, understanding how to price it aggressively, but still make money. Again, which I think is in every business is what we try to do.
Yeah. And then you talk a little bit about like your customer service and your customer journey. When you guys started the business, did you as a team say, "Hey, this is who we're going to be as far as how we treat the customers"? Is that something that you've always just kind of stood on and said, "If we're going to run a home service business, this is how we're going to act"?
Well, so a lot of the people that I would say are involved in our businesses actually came from our previous business, which is, the RV dealers. So Mike and I, we already said out of the very get go, we already knew exactly how we wanted to do, because we treated the customers the exact same way there. We'll stop, we'll listen. "Hey, what's the problem? Let's figure it out together." "Hey, we're going to make money, but we're always going to take care of you." And we built a really good following where people, they literally knew that they could come and count on us. They would say, "Hey, Mike or Dwight," or, "Hey, I got a problem." "What's the problem?" let's figure it out. Not just start pointing the blame like, hey, you bought it used. We're not dealing with it. So we already knew exactly how we would be, and which is why we were very successful in the RV business. We took very good care of our customers.
Yeah, I think that's an incredible mindset and a good way to be. Sometimes that's what's missing in home service is a little bit of that customer journey, that follow up, that people really care about their customers in that regard. Is there, as you went through surprises, are there any things that you would say was like a major challenge in that first year?
I don't know that I would say a major challenge. I mean, our system, the way that it's set up is to make life easier. But building out our catalog is takes a long time, and they have simplified it where we can export it, put in new pricing, and then import it back in, which is nice. Um, but the challenging part is when we first got started, like, we didn't really know how to do that, and we're trying to keep it up, and thankfully, we never lost money on a job based on, like, us doing it, right then and there because we buffered some time or we said, "Hey, let us get it back to you today," and we'd go straight to the supplier, stand in front of them like, "I need a quote right now," and then we'd get on the iPad and just double check it and then send off the estimate. Um, but that would be a challenge, but not anything that we could not overcome, which again, we've overcome a lot of this stuff.
Right.
Permitting. And again, I know that a lot of states don't require permits for fences. I'm jealous. I'm envious of those people. If we change a gate, we got to go get a permit. And it's atrocious. I get it. It's for protection, and I get the whole reason of a permit, but it can take us 4 weeks to 5 weeks to get a permit just to install a fence, which is wild. I mean, they want their firstborn child's blood just to, stamp off on it. So that is the challenging part. And every
Right.
city, every county is completely different. So thankfully, I'm a licensed general contractor because some of our cities, they require you to be a general contractor or have a contractor's license to be able to pull a permit because it's a building permit. That's what they classify it. Where other ones go through zoning and it's just like it's a fence, which makes life easier. There's a county, Charlotte County. We can literally walk in same day, get a permit. That's it. Done. They're like, and no inspections, no nothing. They're like, oh, if a violation comes up, then we'll flag it. I'm like, okay. So,
Right.
but that very challenging. Again, I'm used to permits, which is fine, but for a fence seems a little wild how crazy they're getting.
Right. Right. So, describe a little bit just a typical day in the life of a business owner. What parts of the jobs do you find, most rewarding? What keeps you on your toes? Just a day in the life as a Stand Strong owner.
So my situation is probably a little different, and that is I'm involved daily, but I'm not thoroughly involved. And the reason being is our general manager, as I told you, was my general manager at the RV dealer. Incredible guy. Guy's a machine. We used to call him Magic Mike because I mean, this guy he loves selling, and he's great customer service. So he handles that day to day stuff. What I do is I do deal with the permitting. I deal with, making sure like, people have paid, call 811, making sure people, their final balance is sent, making sure the permit's cleared, making sure I get him the permit so he can put it up. But he does all the ordering, we have our subcontractors that pick it up, on the day of. And then, so he does that day to day operations. And it's honestly just him and I right now. And we have like I'll call it a handyman guy that we have that can help do our repairs. Great guy, just so we have somebody that can. At first, we said that we would not do any repairs, like we wanted nothing to do with it, nightmares. But when you open the business and you really start seeing, you're like, well, the bills don't stop. I gotta find something. I gotta find some money. So we were able to do that, and believe it or not, our repair jobs. I mean, we make some very good money on it. Um, send him out there. We pay him well. Everybody gets paid well. Customers are happy. We even went out and done a repair. They turn around and they call us. Nobody else would do it, and we ended up selling him a fence. This even happened with a HOA. So at a community, a big community, actually right down the road from my house. They couldn't get anybody out there to fix their dog park for 2 years since the hurricane.
Mhm.
And so they're like, we're trying to get people, and they
Goodness.
either show up or they want like 5 grand. I mean, it's just crazy. And we go out there and we're like, $1,800, like that. It's not a problem. And we'll get it done same day. Guy was like, fantastic. So he turned around and just loved us, and we priced out some more stuff. They didn't even get other bids anymore. We're their premier, like that. We're who they call, and they needed dumpster gates to be
That's awesome.
redone. Send it to, they call us, we give them a price. Done. And I mean, the guy really likes us, that he even went to the board and he says, "I'm not dealing with other fence companies. You saw how long it took us just to get that. They were crazy. These guys are do what they say they're gonna do. They show up on time. Look at they do a great job. Like, this is who we're gonna go with." And we again made very good money on that. And again, it's just now all these HOAs and communities talk that he's already referred us to 3 other communities, and we do their stuff. My own community,
Yep.
we repaired the pickleball courts and did a bunch of stuff. So, you know, again, it's I would say that's rewarding. There you go. Being able to get out there and get those referrals going. That's nice.
Yeah, that's good. And I think that, that's how you build your name, build the brand even more in your own community, is be able to do things like that and know that people can count on you right away to get that stuff done. If you were talking to, and you can do this from every level because you've done it for multiple years. If you were talking to an aspiring business owner, what advice would you give someone looking to get into business ownership?
Um, be prepared to work a lot of hours. One of the things that we see, and I've seen this, it's wild to me that people, when they buy into a business or even buy a business, whether it's a franchise or not, they seem like, well, I paid $350,000 to get into it. I'm gonna hire these people. I'm gonna sit back and I'm just gonna be raking in the money. That is the furthest from the truth. That's the fastest way to lose all the money that you invested, is in trusting that all these people are gonna just make you money and you're gonna walk and be just fine. It's the day to day. I mean, literally, we work 7 days a week. We don't stop. The first year, I mean, we were out 9 o'clock at night, helping finalize a fence because we said we were going to finish it. Um, again, it's those early mornings. I mean, there's some mornings where, the general manager was at my house at 6:30 in the morning, and we're going over everything, and we're going over the day to day, and we're going over like, hey, what do we need to do here? So just be prepared that you got to sacrifice something, and that is going to be time, and it's going to be a lot of hard work. Um, the other thing is making sure that you have your financial ability there. And what I mean by that is make sure you account for everything. One of the biggest ways that I've actually researched and read in some books is the biggest threat to any new business owner is they don't watch their capital. They don't watch where the money's coming from or going. They're just like, oh, we're getting this, we're getting that, and we're paying this, we're paying that. And before you know it, they're broke, and then they can't buy anything. And then they're living off deposits. So, just being mindful of your cash flow after a few years, and you build it and you build a team, you know, you make your business a 3, 4, $5 million business in a few years. Now you can sell it. That's what people don't understand. And I think in today's generation, and when I say generation, I just mean in today's world, not just like the younger generation, because there's even, older folks that they want instant gratification. I want to buy in now and I want to make the money now. But it's still the long game. Business ownership is always going to be that long game. Build the name, build the brand, then you make the money when you sell. And you can still make money, of course, while you're doing it. That's why we're in business. But, you know, those are the things that I would absolutely say, because I've seen it, I've heard it. Hey, I bought into a franchise and, I'm not doing well. And I'm like, why are you not doing well? And they're like, well, you know, I, I was told that I could be an absentee owner. I'm like, well, you can if you have the right people, but I'm just going to say it. You're an idiot if you think you're going to throw all this money and then hire somebody off the street and go, make me a lot of money. Have a great day. I'll follow up with you. Well, it's not their business. They're not going to, they're not there to break their back for you. You need to go out there and show them what you can do. You help build it, and then watch it happen. You set the processes in place. So, but I hear it. I hear it from other ones, and I'm like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, are you picking up the phone and calling? I call customers all the time. I help sell. I help with service stuff. If we got to go out there and fix a gate, I'm out there at 9 o'clock at night fixing a gate just to make sure that it's right. So again, if you're not prepared to do that, it's not for you. But that's what blows my mind about a lot of these companies and these people that get into business. And this is just my rant is if you're going to do it, you got to dive all in. You got to be prepared. You're not going to make a lot of money in the very beginning. I think we broke heck, I even think we lost money the first year just because of all that we just keep reinvesting in marketing, reinvesting in the company because that's what we want to do because we know come this year, late in this year to the end of the third year is going to be an amazing year. The second year, we're still building it and we've got a great name out there. We have one client, a commercial client, that he actually used to be a competitor of ours in the RV industry. That he's always been a great guy. Him and I always got along. Um, but he built an RV park behind the dealership, his dealership, and we did all the fencing for it. And now he doesn't call anybody else. He's like, I know these guys. I know I can trust these guys. These are who I want. So again, he talks to other places. So we continue to build that brand. And they're like, no, this is the people. I've seen them out here, you know, 7 o'clock at night putting in my gate because the subcontractors had to go for whatever reason. But we say it's going to get done. We're gonna make sure that it gets done. So it's having that mindset, having that attitude that you better be ready to give all in and I don't know, I'll just say this last thing. If you think you're gonna have like this fun time and your off nights and weekends, it's not for you. Literally, we work 7 days a week to build this brand, and we'll continue to do it.
Yeah, you bring up some really good points there in terms of, there's a lot to be said too about, you mentioned that you don't think you even really made any money in the last year because you invested back into the business and those type of things. Like there's a lot of things involved in business ownership that people just need to be bootstrapped for and ready to go and have a plan, right? When you talk about a plan, it's sticking to that plan and it's moving forward. You know, you touched on something earlier, and I meant to ask you earlier, when you guys built out that team, and I know your general manager does a lot of this, did you have difficulty? I often wonder that when people get into a subcontractor brand, everybody seems to wonder in the beginning, where am I going to find people to put in a fence? I always tell people that's a worry because you're not in the family yet to understand it. Like when you talk about suppliers, etc. So I just wanted to ask you a little bit about that. Did you find that was the same for you, where you thought, where are we going to find these guys? And then maybe you still work with the same crew you started with.
Well, we work with the same crew pretty close to when we started with. So there's a few things. One, I'll talk about our internal team. We brought on people that used to work with us as salespeople, and they you got to find people that are hungry. They one didn't last 6 months, another one didn't last 2 months, and you know it's you got to pay attention and you really got to take time on the interview process with who you're going to hire internally because again you need somebody and we were paying them very well to go out there and sell because I said I'd rather invest the money into you, get you going. I don't want anybody to have to worry about, hey, I can't make my bills, but I need you to go out there and hustle. And you know even though we worked with them before, this is a completely different concept. I mean, it's hard work. It's harder work. I mean, before, I mean, we had leads coming in all the time. We had, people calling, people showing up. A little bit easier. Where now we're going out there and we're blanketing parking lots, right? We're going up to people and we're just talking to them. Any free advertisement that we could do, and again, Mike and I we're hustlers. We'll do it. I have no problem. I'll talk to anybody. Anybody, I don't care who you are, because if you don't want a fence, somebody that wants a fence. And if I can make a difference to you, maybe you can at least refer us. But those guys didn't have that mindset. They don't, you got to be a salesperson. Everybody's a salesperson. We even tell our subcontractors, you are salespeople for us. And, they were like, what do you mean? And so the wife, because she runs like the operations for him, she's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, when we're out there, if they ever come over and ask you like, hey, can you put in a fence, or hey, can you come give an estimate? You guys are selling. You're like, yeah, check out this fence. This is what we're doing. This is how we do it. Turn around, let Mike or I know, and we'll go and we'll give him an estimate because it's guaranteed your job. We're going to give it to you." And I will tell you to talk about the subcontractors. I already knew that if you go to the supply houses, you can find them pretty quick. You can sit in there, but again, you got to take the time. You got to take the time to go in there and sit. And I would just grab a cup of coffee and I'm sitting there and the girls would be like, anything else we can help you with? I'm like, no, no, I'm okay. I'm just gonna, just gonna sit here and I'd watch who's walking in, right? And what shirts they had on. If they had on a fencing company, I'd be like, hey, are you a subcontractor or are you, or is it your own company? Oh, no, no, all I do is install fences. Great. Can I get your information? We're a new fencing company that we're coming into town. And I did all this prior to us opening. And so it just so happens that one of the girls, she was on vacation when I was doing this, but heard about it. She picked up the phone and called me. She says, hey, I hear you're looking for subcontractors. I said, yeah. And she's like, well, I'm the general manager of the supply house. I actually, um, have a fencing installation company on my own. The owner knows about it. I don't do blah, blah, blah. I was leery on it. And she was good, and she introduced us to some people that we still use, but they're rarely available. But then we found one that actually used to do fence installations at another Stand Strong out in Utah. Again, guess what? The brands. So, oh, I done work for Stand Strong out there. Hey, would you guys be willing? And we were doing a home show, and he showed up, and we got to meet him and his wife, and great people, and they awesome work, great work. We pay them well, but we also, it's the times we're in, we have to negotiate that price. But again, we talk to them and they're willing to stay. So we don't have to worry about it.
That's awesome. And I know there's, it's always a ton of different perspective on that. So I appreciate you giving some insight on how that worked out for you guys. So, looking back, if you had to start all over, is there something you would specifically do different to prepare for owning this business, or do you feel pretty good on what you did and how you did it?
Well, I think we all can go back and look at what we would do different, right? No matter what. If they were, hey, if you were going back to, if I was to buy another home service business, what does that look like? Um, there would be things that I would change. I will tell you, we thought we had it based on like, oh, the team, the salespeople, and this is how we're going to do things. I would say not just relying solely on a roadmap from the brand, but creating our own roadmap, really taking the time. Um, an office space. We just got one. We're remodeling it. We'll be in it probably by the end of this month. But having an office where everybody can go, yes, we're a home-based business. We can be. It's very, very hard to stay organized even into with today's technology. Whereas we like to be in an office where things are on the board. Here you go. At the end of the day, let's say I'm out running an estimate or I'm doing something else, then the others can come back. They can, oh, here's the permit for Mr. Smith. I got it, signed it out. Again, it's that flow that we're missing. That if
Yeah.
I could do it all over again from the very beginning, I would have rented an office space right out of the get go. But I knew that we wanted to buy one and we were just trying to find the right one. Um, and so we did. It's an office space and we're going to rent the other side of everything out and they're going to pay for it, right? So it'll in essence cost us nothing, which is nice. But yeah, definitely an office space, definitely, making our own roadmap and spending more time, even though we had salespeople prior, interviewing way more than just saying like, hey, this person would do.
Yeah, and I think, there could be some part of that office space too that feels real comfortable for you guys too from where you guys came from before, right? It's just about a fit thing, but I think you're right. As you go through and you find things about your business, you find out what works for you for sure.
Yeah. I mean, in the
So
last 4
I
days, we
like that.
sold
I like
7 units or 7, so I say 7 units, 7 deals. And so now it's like, which ones need permits, which ones don't, where's it at? And it's like, yeah, we can talk over the phone, but I like live out of my truck anyways, because I'm going to all these other job sites and everything. That it's nice of, hey, we're here meeting in the morning and now we're writing it down. Call me old school, but I like a pen and paper and to do that. So
that's the part where that's why it's important to be, you know, an independently owned and operated business, right? That's because you got to make it yours. You got to make it your roadmap. So I know you talked a little bit about, you know, growth and those type of things. For you, what do you see next for you guys in terms of, are you doubling down? Are you looking for more salespeople? Are you looking, in the next year and a half or 2 years, will you look at maybe more territory? What do you see for the future for you?
So as far as territories, we bought 4 territories. And it's a pretty big territory. The If we had the option to buy, I'll call Naples and stuff like that, I'm not interested. And the reason being is they are atrocious with permitting. I have a retail build out right now for our development company. And it took 10 weeks to get a permit. 10 weeks. So, I mean, it's crazy. So I'm not even interested in any of that. But I think for us, we have a big enough territory that we can make something really happen. As far as what we're going to do, the few things, and we're holding off until we're in the office because again, we want to be able to bring on another salesperson, but we want to bring him to the office and be able to set him down and we want to interview him and we want to, this is where you'll be coming every morning, right? Kind of already setting that presence, that standard, like this is where you come when you're not out at an estimate or anything else, you're back in this office and you're making phone calls. You're here, anything that we need, blah, blah, blah. I don't care if you live over in Lehigh and you're driving here. This is where you drive. It's a company truck. We're paying for the fuel. So you're going to be back here. And again, that is the thing, because again, we all can tend to get lazy a little sometimes if we're like not watched. But definitely that we have looked at getting an internal crew. We love our subcontractors, but as we look at it, we got to start looking at our dollars and cents. And we pay a lot of money for a subcontractor. And if we look at what's the payroll cost going to be, what's the insurance, and then what if we pay them with some bonuses and they can make some good money, but they're guaranteed 40 hours a week. They're guaranteed to make some good money. And, again, they have a company truck. We could still save ourselves a ton of money and put it back in our pockets. So again, that's kind of something we've teetered on. We've interviewed a few people. We actually started with we had another guy come on to help our handyman guy. We had them go out and do a fence for us. It's like 91 feet. And they did a great job. Did a great job. So it's like, okay, what did that cost us? $400. We would have paid to do a small job. We would have paid $800 to our subcontractor. Right there's $400 more back in our pocket. And they did a great job. So
Right.
again, it's that we so actually one of the things that we looked into early on was we got with the other brands. So Gatsby Glass, Mighty Dog Roofing, Bumblebee Blinds, and us, and we all know each other around here. And Gatsby Glass is actually doing a about 4 projects for me for the glass. Again, brands, right? We help each other out, but he has a spot where we can potentially buy in bulk and be able to store it there. So, we're looking at that bulk pricing because some of the stuff that we're losing, some of the jobs, the aluminum jobs, is because we're not buying in bulk. These other guys that have the spots, they buy in bulk, they'll win those jobs all day long just because of they buy in bulk and we can't. So the supplier can't give us the
Yep.
deals that they can get. So there's going to be that, and then
Yep.
again the hiring of the salespeople.
So kind of when I wind this down, I always like to ask, I always call it the 3 and out, right? 3 questions kind of about you, a little bit about yourself, you know. So for you, what's your go-to to unwind after a crazy day?
Spending time with my family. Like,
Okay.
we like
Okay,
to
I like that.
go jump in the
Coffee.
pool or play around or laugh or watch a movie. Like, you can ask my wife and my kids, like, if there's I love being around people, but when it's like time for me or whatever, I want nothing to do with people. I just want my 3 best humans and our 2 pups. That's it. Everybody else, get away from me. That's my wind down.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, not even a little bit. Let's see. Coffee, tea, or energy drink?
Coffee.
Coffee. Black?
Oh, no, no, I'm too what's that? Foo to foo? That's what my wife says. She's Hispanic, so
Yeah.
foo to foo, I think is what she says. But, no, I like creamer in
Yeah.
my coffee. I was in the military for 9 years, and I never drank coffee, never drank coffee. I didn't start drinking coffee until the RV dealerships. I'm like, "I gotta start drinking coffee," but no black coffee for me. I need some creamer in it. So I like
Okay.
creamer with a tad
Inter
of coffee.
Okay. How about last one? One piece of advice you would give your 25-year-old self?
Start now and don't wait and don't be an idiot.
That's a
Yeah,
great
if
piece of advice.
I
Well, thanks
would've
for joining.
Yeah, I would have survived through 2008 if I wasn't dumb. I was making all this money building these homes and I was like, "Oh, it's never gonna stop." And then it stops. And then I'm like, "Oh my goodness." So Again, being smart in your 20s is with financially and building a business, building something is absolutely awesome. That's exactly. And I tell my kids, my 12-year-old and 15-year-old, start now.
That's awesome. Well, Dwight, thank you. Thanks for joining us on the Franchise Frontier podcast. I hope today's episode gave you a clear look into the journey of business ownership. And if ownership is calling your name, don't hesitate. Like Dwight said, start early. Remember, like and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.